Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Frank Olsen Twins YouTube channel. A few times a year, I challenge myself to make the best possible cables for my home studio. This year, I came up with a technique I feel truly steps up my cable making skills. You'll see it as I make a cable with one right angle connector and one straight connector. I find the right angle comes in handy when using side-plugged guitars, such as Telecasters or hollow bodies, which might be overly stressed by straight connectors. Having the straight connector, however, is great for front-plugged guitars, such as Stratocasters. I'm also trying a new wire stripping tool today. As always, I'm using my favorite Canare GS-6 cable, Neutrik connectors, a wood pick, some contact cleaner, wire cutters, rosin, cotton swabs or a brush, soldering iron, solder, an old pedal, and a pair of helping hands is also useful. To begin, let's look at the Neutrik recommended wire stripping chart for the right angle plug. First, I add my strain relief boot. Now I measure 20mm from the cut end of the wire. Using this new wire stripping tool, I give just a few turns. I'm not squeezing anything, just letting the tool gently cut. It's important not to add pressure to the stripping tool as you spin it, which could cut through the copper shield. Next, using my sharpened wood pick, I gently separate the braided copper, removing any wires that break away. Now here's a new trick I developed recently while trying to really perfect my cable making. Instead of tightly twisting the shield into one thick mass, I'm separating the copper into 3 sections, making sure there are no overlapping stray wires. Once they're grouped, I gently braid the wires back into one cohesive braid. Even though it's a bit of extra work, I found this braided wire takes solder easily, keeps wires from straying or fraying, and solders perfectly to contact points without needing too much heat. I clean the bare copper with contact cleaner to remove any finger oils, a little rosin next, and I can tin the wire. See how easily the braided wire takes the solder. That's very difficult to achieve with a single mass of twisted copper. I measure 10mm from the end and trim. Once again with the stripping tool, I just nick and remove the black conductive element. If left in place, it could short out the cable. As you can see here, it's quite conductive. Now I measure 4mm from the end to trim the insulation from the inner conductor. I spin just a few times, giving very light pressure to cut the insulation, and then I use the end of the tool to gently remove the tip. You can see I did not nick the copper, so the conductors will not break during use or over time. I'm cleaning the end, adding rosin, and tinning the conductor with a bit of molten solder from the tip of the iron. Since it's not heavily twisted, the solder wicks perfectly into the wire. These are my final measurements. and I'll bend the pieces into shape for the final installation. Clean both parts again, and I'm ready to install. I'll also clean both contact points. I start by soldering the shield first. And again, notice how easily the braid heats and accepts the solder. Now I'll add some solder braid into the contact cup. I heat the soldering cup first before adding the conductor. Once the conductor is added, I'll apply heat until the solder melts and flows freely between the parts. Here's final cleanup to remove the rosin from the joints. And here are my joints. I check for any stray wires, the correct amount of solder, and the joints are clean and shiny. Now, after clipping off the end, I'll install the chuck, slide on the top, and screw in the boot. So there we have a well-soldered, reliable connector that will be trouble-free for many years to come. Now for the second half of the cable, the straight connector. Here are the stripping specs. I add the boot first, or I'll be kicking myself later. And I'm looking to strip away 16 millimeters this time. The stripping specs are the major difference for the straight connector, so this half of the video goes quicker. Okay, same process here. Separate the braid gently. I'm going to use the same braiding method for the shield wire, but I'm just very gently twisting the wires to make them easier to braid. The most important factor here is to make sure all the wires stay inside the braid. I'm not too concerned about the end since it gets trimmed away. Bend into shape, remove any oils, tin the copper, then trim the braid 6 millimeters from the end of the cable. The tip gets stripped 4 millimeters from the cut end of the cable. It also gets tinned and cleaned before final installation. The connector contacts get cleaned, and the braided shield gets soldered first. Then the cup gets filled with twisted solder. The cup and solder get heated first, then the conductor gets inserted. Once they are properly heated, they're allowed to cool without moving. Some contact cleaner on the brush removes the rosin. One last check for stray wires. The chuck gets trimmed and installed, as well as the outer shell. Then the boot gets screwed in if you remember to install it. So there we have it, my own twist on a cable that I'm proud to use and I know will be reliable for many years to come. I hope this has inspired you to make your own cable, and if so, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. As always, if you like this video, hit the like button and please subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, thanks for watching.